Instagram is no magic beans. Actually, if I had to draw a parallel, I would say Instagram is the fertile soil. Instagram is the soil where you sow the beans. But at the end of the day, you're the one who's sowing it. You're the one who's planting it. You're the one who's watering it. You're the one who's nourishing it. You're the one who's taking care of it. You are the one who's doing all the work.
Hello. This is your host, Yutama, and welcome to My Food Lens podcast, where we talk about everything from food photography, styling to business and mindset. After 15 years as an architect, I switched careers and I'm now a professional food stylist and food photographer based in Singapore. I'm also the founder of the business My Food Lens, where we help clients elevate their brand through drool-worthy photos. My motto is, put your best food forward. Well, here on this podcast, I promise to keep it raw and real and hope you find your answers, action, and inspiration as we move through the episodes.
Instagram changed my life. Oh, yes, it definitely did. But before I move forward, before we go any further in this episode, I want to say something. I want to clarify that if there is anybody in the world who has the potential, the strength, the stamina, the capacity to change our lives, it is us and only us. The change comes from within us and nobody else. Yes, there are enablers in our lives. There are people, the people we live with, our family, our friends, our partners. They are enablers. We also have platforms like social media, and those are enablers. So we have many different enablers and they help us change our lives. But at the end of the day, it is us, and we have to have the mindset to bring that change, to make that change, to create a new life for ourselves. So it's not like Instagram gives you a lot. Actually, Instagram takes a lot. Sometimes it takes more than it gives you. But how do we make the most of it? How do we turn that situation around, and how do we use it to our advantage is what I'm going to talk about today. Instagram is no magic beans. Actually, if I had to draw a parallel, I would say Instagram is the fertile soil. Instagram is the soil where you sow the beans. But at the end of the day, you're the one who's sowing it. You're the one who's planting it. You're the one who's watering it. You're the one who's nourishing it. You're the one who's taking care of it. You are the one who's doing all the work. So, well, who's giving and who's taking, that's up to you to decide. But at the end of the day, if there is anyone who holds the capacity to make the change, it is you. And for that, we have to do the work. So I'm going to talk all about Instagram and how it changed my life, but it would not have changed my life if I would not have done the work. We have the power to use Instagram to our advantage, and I will tell you all about it. So let's get started. Hello and welcome to episode 25. Oh my God. Episode 25. How did we reach here already? Oh gosh, this is so cool. I hope that you have been having as much fun as I've been having, bringing amazing guests and also bringing these topics, which honestly been a part of my journey. And I feel like we all connect with it. So I've been sharing those with you too. So I'm super duper pumped, cherishing this milestone of episode 25. But you know what? I am totally cherishing another milestone, and you've probably seen it on my Instagram post last week. So I hit 10K followers on Instagram a few weeks ago. And I won't lie that the idea of a community of 10,000 is something else. It's a bit unreal. And I'm definitely cherishing it. It is a milestone and it is very, very special for me. Now, I know that every time we talk about Instagram, this is how it starts. Like usually it's like, there's this huge sigh and it's followed by like a ton of negativity that is associated obviously with social media. And then followed with maybe a few good points and, oh yeah, but, it's also this, it's also that. So yes, social media and the evil that it is not new to us. But today, I really want to bring to you the other side of it. And that is because this evil really changed my life. And I am not exaggerating here. I know this episode might ruffle a few feathers, and I know that it might not sit well with some folks, but I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it because this episode is 100% raw. It is 100% real. It is 100% true. And I really want to share it because of the milestone that I've just reached. All right. So I'm quite openly saying it that I am celebrating this milestone, that I'm celebrating 10K, that I'm very happy about reaching a 10K community. But with that, please allow me to add a few more things. So I know that there's like so much discussion about numbers and how numbers don't matter. And I myself have gone on to say many a times that we can't measure ourselves against these numbers, which is true. I 100% still stand by that. And I'll say that those numbers cannot determine how capable we are, how awesome we are, and where our talent lies. That numbers cannot determine that. Those numbers can also be very, very nutty, and those numbers can create unnecessary comparison and basically suck away every ounce of joy that we get from being creative. And all of that is true. All of that, every word of that is true, that it is that evil. Those numbers are evil if we take them that way. So I know that everyone's frustrated a lot with social media, especially with Instagram. And it's kind of been like that for a while, and especially now. But the point is, and the truth is, that we can neither live with it, nor can we live without it, right? We have this serious love-hate relationship with it. It's like the partner who we break up with and then we make up with and then we break up again. It's constantly that sort of a relationship. I think so. But when I reach this 10K milestone, I really put things into perspective. And it's not without reason that I say that I'm celebrating or I'm happy. But this 10K milestone made me think, do I love Instagram? Or do I hate Instagram? Like, what are my feelings about Instagram? And before I proceed any further to tell you what my feelings really are, I want to say something. I want to clarify something, that hitting this 10K milestone, it's special for me. One, yes, definitely it's a big number for me. And secondly, because I never thought I would be here. This was never in my imagination. I never thought that 10,000 people could be interested in what I do, in my work, and yet I'm here. And this is why it is so special for me. And as we move through this episode, you will probably understand why my thinking is like this, why I thought I would never be here, and yet I am. Well, if there was no Instagram, there would be no My Food Lens. And there are no two ways about it, really. Like, I cannot deny this fact. There would be no DJ, the photographer, I would pretty much still be an architect and my life would look very, very different. So Instagram has helped me in many ways. And I want to share that with you today. I want to share everything with you today, everything that Instagram gave me. And I gave Instagram, like, it's not a one-way traffic. We also give back in many ways because we are the ones who are churning out all that content. So definitely we're helping the platform, but there are so many benefits of that platform. And I want to share everything with you today so that it allows you also to navigate positively and use it to your advantage versus the other way around. So I want to share 4 ways that Instagram completely changed my life, gave me a whole new path and a whole new identity. So let's start. The first way that Instagram changed my life was that it gave me a visual platform to showcase my work. It gave me visibility and it gave my work visibility. So it's like I don't know how to say it, but I feel like it's like a reincarnation. I know it sounds very dramatic and very like, woo, but I feel like it was the beginning of a new era for me. It was definitely, architecture was my past life, and I have a whole new life now. So Instagram gave me visibility, not just as a creative, but also as an individual. It gave me that identity. So imagine our parents' era, right? If you were, an artist in the 1950s, how would you ever go viral? If you were creating any sort of art, it was pretty tough to get the word out there. But today, things go viral. This word viral, right? Things just go viral. You think in the 1950s things went viral? There was probably just one way that things went viral. If you told someone not to tell anyone, they would definitely make it viral, right? So anyway, things things are very much in our favor today. We are very lucky to be living in a time where we have a platform like Instagram, where we can put out our work and anyone in any part of the world can see it. Like, think about that for a minute. It's pretty darn awesome, isn't it? When I joined Instagram, it was around the end of 2016, beginning of 2017. So I was like pretty late to the party, because I know people who were on Instagram since the beginning of Instagram. I was not. But when I joined, because of the response that I began to receive, I actually began to pay attention to my work. So even if 10 people said something good about a picture, it made a difference to me. And honestly, it still does. Every kind word, every word that comes onto my feed, whosoever leaves a comment, it is extremely precious to me. And that has not changed since the beginning of my journey on Instagram. And I'm not just saying that, right? You know that. But Instagram, it really became a platform for me to put out my work and think about what I was doing right. Why was I standing out, or was I standing out? And what was it that was making me so excited about this platform? So every time I was putting out work and I was receiving a certain response, I was thinking about it. And that response, like from fellow foodies, from fellow photographers, it really inspired me. It really put out this passion in me to work on things. All right. And what started as a casual hobby actually really turned into a business within a year, because the platform showcased my work, it reached the right people, it inspired me to work on my skills. And because I was reaching more people globally and locally as well, there was a prospect to start doing it professionally. So my introduction to Instagram was actually quite casual. It was for fun, it was as a hobby, and little did I know that it would plant this idea seed in my head that photography could become a career. I did take the platform that way. I even today, and even from the beginning, I use it as my portfolio. And I started to create content that I wanted should reach a particular audience or potential clients. So when I took the leap of registering my business in 2018, it was like the wildest thing to do. And yet there was a good feeling in my gut. And I know that a lot of people had warned me against it, but I did bank on Instagram for inspiration and for turning my hobby, photography, into a commercial business. Now, Instagram gave me a dream. It was not just a platform, it gave me a dream. And it turned that dream into a reality, because that platform has a reach like none other, or so it did at that time. Now there are other platforms that have a reach like none other, but Instagram is still special. It's still different, so to be able to create with intention, that platform really has the potential to change lives. And had it not been for Instagram, I would definitely still be an architect and I would have completely ignored my calling. So Instagram gave me a platform to showcase my work. It gave me hints of where I could take it. And I took the hint. At least I took the hint and I acted on it, because yes, my circumstances allowed me to. So I acted on it. Now, this might look different for you, because obviously our paths are different and our circumstances are different. But if we can figure out what to seek from the platform, it actually makes it much easier for us to navigate our path. So I would say that Instagram gave me visibility. It put my work out there. It planted that seed in my head that it could be a profession. It put me in front of clients, and it really turned my hobby into a commercial business. So it changed my life. The switch from architecture to photography would have never, ever happened had this platform not existed, had I not taken that hint, had I not acted on it. But if this platform didn't exist, I wouldn't either. So that was the first way that I used Instagram as a platform to showcase my work, to reach the people I wanted to, whether it was an audience or whether it was clients. But then it gave me something more powerful, which is the second way that it changed my life. And you know what that is? It gave me a community. I cannot even begin to tell you the strength of a community that shares your passion. Like, it is everything. Imagine talking about food photography with your neighbor, and who's just your neighbor, right? They may or may not be into food photography. So imagine talking to your neighbor about food photography. You're like all excited. You go to them and you're like, I nailed that moody light today. Or, I shot that ice cream, or I got a magazine feature. And they'll just be like, oh, yeah, okay, fantastic. And they might support you as a friend, but do they really get it? I'm not sure. So imagine having a community that not only understands what it means to have a magazine feature, but it speaks your language. And it also gives you the strength to push through those creative struggles. And it cheers for you when you reach a milestone. A community that shares your failures, a community that jumps out to help you if you're stuck. Come on, man. That is priceless. That is amazing. So imagine Instagram and its million users. And by large, I don't mean quantity. I don't mean, yes, I said millions, but it doesn't really mean quantity. It means quality. Larger than what you would ever imagine is the people who get you. And no matter how many they are, to be surrounded even by a handful of people who get you is everything. When I say that I cherished the 10 comments that came on my post, I truly, truly mean it. And that is what I mean by cherishing or valuing the community that we create for ourselves. No matter how big they are larger than the world for us, because imagine having none of it, right? So my heart is where my community is. And you know that. I don't have to say it, I treasure everyone that I have connected with on Instagram or on social media. Honestly, the community has given me inspiration. It has given me encouragement. You won't believe it, but the community has made me understand who I am. And also the heartfelt conversations with so many of you. Come on, man. It is priceless, because being a solopreneur, being a solo creative, being a solo photographer, just being an artist on your own can be very lonely. There are times where we just need to share one thing, where we just need to say something, where we just need a pat on the back, where we just need to, heave a sigh. And we just need somebody who will understand what that sigh means. And that, my friend, is the community that we can create on Instagram, is the community that I completely treasure that I have on this platform. It's the community that we have created for ourselves through the work that we have put out there on that platform. And that community is downright precious, because imagine not having them, right? So yeah, you can sense that. I'm a bit emotional because it really means a lot to me. That community means everything to me. So that was the second way, like finding that community, finding people who speak my photography love language. I mean, come on, I love it. So that changed my life and also my husband's life, because then I was not always sitting on his head telling him, he was trying to trying to decipher every single sigh that I would take, every single grunt that I would make. So it kind of even relieves our partners and our friends of that responsibility that they have to understand what we are going through. Sometimes they need a little break too. And that's where we can always count on and fall back on our community. So hands down, community is the most precious thing that Instagram has given us. Or might I say that we have created for us. All right. So that was the second way that Instagram changed my life. Let's talk about the third one. Let's get a bit real and tough now. So Instagram brought discipline in my life. And this is big. This is where I mean that we have to use Instagram to our advantage and not the other way around. So right when I started, I created like a posting schedule for myself. And I kept a rhythm that I wanted to keep for posting, something that I could sustain. And it was just like twice a week. And in all these years, I have stuck to twice a week. I have never been able to do anything more than that because it was just impossible for me. When you're out working with clients, when you have a family, you are having a baby, and you yourself want to stay sane, you just come up with something that works sustainably for you. And posting twice a week was as far as I could sustain. And I stuck to it. I stuck to those 2 times because I made a commitment to myself, because it worked for me. And it might work more or less for someone else, but 2 was plenty enough for me. Now, I made that commitment to myself. I actually began to create consistently to be able to post 2 times a week. And you know what? You know what happened in that process? I just started practicing like crazy. I was shooting different subjects. I was shooting different kinds of light. I was understanding my gear. And in the process of just creating content, I was actually improving my photography skills. Aha. Well, such a win-win, right? So anyway, Instagram really, it made me very disciplined about creating photos, shooting twice or thrice a week, so much so that it became a habit. The weeks that I can't shoot or I couldn't shoot, I actually felt uneasy. You know how you're so used to working out, you go running every single day. And then the day you don't go, you're like, I don't feel very good today. It's the same thing when photography becomes a habit. That is what happens. And Instagram made it happen for me by making me commit to a schedule, or I committed to a schedule. Either way, whatever works for you, think of it like that, right? There's no right or wrong here. So by committing to a schedule, I was actually committing to practice. I was committing to photography. I was committing to my art. Now that is something that we struggle with often, right? So I did not give in to the pressure of like posting more frequently or anything more than that, whatever that meant, So I didn't ever get into the pressure of posting more frequently or anything, and whatever that meant, not posting frequently, like what is frequently, right? You can do as much or as little as you want. It is your page, your feed, your rules. So there were times that, in fact, there were times when I couldn't post for an entire month because life happened, and that was okay too. So I used Instagram to my advantage to bring discipline to my work schedule versus falling into any sort of pressure. So yes, there were times, I will not disagree that there were times where I did feel like, I need to post more often. There are people who are doing so much more. I need to post more often. And I tried. I failed. I miserably failed because I just could not keep up. It was burning me out. And what was suffering was the other part of my business, which was my client work, my family. And I just went back to my twice a week schedule, and I kept at it. I kept with my healthy habit of shooting twice or thrice a week. So Instagram really helped me hone my skills by bringing discipline to my photography schedule. And it made photography a habit. And you know how difficult it is to form habits, right? So I'm really grateful that what started as a schedule to create content for social media actually became a healthy habit to learn new skills, to practice photography, and to get better at my craft. So that way I feel like it gave me a rhythm. Instagram gave me discipline and it gave me rhythm. It made me used to. It made me comfortable with my art, which was actually quite new to me, right? It was not like I was born a photographer or I was a hobbyist photographer for years. I literally picked up my camera, my DSLR, the day I decided to turn photography into business. Okay. So that's a story. I don't know if I've told you, but that's a story for another time. But so I did not have photography running in my veins for years. It was literally a very new art for me, something that I had to learn from scratch. And so Instagram made me super comfortable and it gave me a rhythm to how I could get that comfort with my gear and my craft. And in addition to that, so that was another way that Instagram changed my life. It gave me healthy habits that I still have till date. But there was one more way, one more last way that it changed me and my life for the better and for the irreversible. And the fourth way it impacted my life was that it educated me. It really did educate me. So like I said, I did not know anything about either photography, leave alone food photography. Yes, I love to eat, but did I pay attention to the photos as much as I do today? Not at all. Not at all. Instagram gave me benchmarks. Instagram gave me inspiration. And that is what I want to share with you. So while Instagram gave me visibility as a platform, it also made others' work visible to me. Right? So it works both ways, right? It's not just you are being seen, you are also seeing. You cannot unsee it. So I was exposed to the most marvelous of photographers, the most fantastic food photos, and this was from around the world. Superb, right? So it gave me a real insight into where the world was in food photography. As an architect, I had no clue, but now I could see the commercial work that photographers were producing, right? I could see what restaurants were looking for. I could see master chefs and the kind of cookbooks that they were producing. So the exposure really opened my eyes to a whole new world. It educated me about the industry and it also set benchmarks for me. I wanted to work harder. I wanted to explore new techniques. I wanted to work towards getting better every single day because, gosh, those images on Instagram were stunning, right? I mean, the kind of work that we see put out by photographers, it just blows my mind. It's just so darn good, right? So I will not disagree yet again that observing those photos or observing those marvelous photographers came with comparison. It came with self-doubt. It came with the feeling that I'm not good enough, that I'll never be able to photograph with them. And especially on bad days when your camera refuses to cooperate with you, the sun is all naughty and, you're just struggling. It affects you. It impacts you even more on those days. The comparison on bad days just kills everything. And that totally happened with me. And it still happens. It's a very regular phenomena. I mean, comparison and stress, they crop up so often. But again, we need to check ourselves. We need to keep a check on ourselves. So I know that it's not possible every time to walk away with positive thoughts. And sometimes negative thoughts just sit. They sit for a while and we need to give ourselves time and space to kind of get over it, to go past it, to bring that positivity back again. And at some point, if we can just remind ourselves that we have to use the platform to our advantage and we have to use those photos to our advantage, that exposure, that we have to use that exposure to learn and to find inspiration and to educate ourselves, then we can actually find a way to work around the evilness of the platform. It is evil. I can't deny that. It is evil in that way, that the comparison it sets, it's just crazy. But me, as someone who was like completely alien to the world of social media, who joined the party like really, really late, Instagram gave me a very good overview of the food photography industry. And that's how I used it. I used it to learn and find inspiration every single day. And I did it while I battled comparison and stress and self-doubt. But I always check myself. I try to and come back to what is the positive part of it. So As someone who was completely alien to the world of social media, who joined the party too late, Instagram gave me a very good overview of what the industry was, what the standards were, what the expectations were, what photographers around the world were doing, what clients around the world were looking for. And that's how I decided to use it. So I learned from it. I found inspiration in it while I battled self-doubt, while I battled comparison, but I kept checking and bringing myself back. And so today I can very confidently say that it for sure has educated me. It for sure has given me that exposure to the industry, which I don't know how I would have gotten if I was not on Instagram. So those were the 4 ways that Instagram has completely given me a new life. I'm a whole new person, someone who I was not 4 years ago. And I'm pretty sure that you have a similar story because this platform does change you. It makes you stronger in many ways. So Instagram has been pivotal in my creative journey. I know that it's very easy to focus on the negatives, because truth be told, social media tests us in crazy, crazy ways. But we just have to check ourselves. We have to come back to why we are there, what is our intention, what we can learn from it, and how we can walk away inspired. We can choose to focus on what we seek from the platform. And if we seek what is within our control, like a community, like inspiration, like support, like exchange of ideas, like clients, it can really bring a difference to our creative journey, whether it's a business or a hobby. So I know for sure that I would not be where I am today had it not been for Instagram. That seed would not have been planted. The opportunities would have been different. And the inspiration, the community, the camaraderie. I can't even begin to list down the positives that Instagram has brought for me, but also because I did put in that work, that I did work hard on creating the content and putting myself out there in the form of my work. So it's definitely been a life-changing for me. And I want to say one thing, that when I say Instagram, I also mean you. You're the community. You're the inspiration. You are the learning. So Instagram is a platform, but the platform is people. It's you and me. So let me say this before I end this episode. Just let me please say this to you. Thank you for changing my life by being on that platform. And you never know whose life you are changing by being on this platform. So let's just be grateful that something like this exists in our era and that we can use it to our advantage versus the other way around. So I hope that this episode leaves you with something positive. I hope that it gives you a little bit of positivity towards the love-hate relationship that we have with Instagram. And I really also hope that it allows you to establish what you seek from this platform, because that is definitely a real game changer in keeping us sanity on the ever-changing, ever-evolving world of social media. So my purpose of this episode was for once to throw light on Instagram in a way that it has remarkably worked for me. And I've made it work for me too. It works both ways, boss, right? So I don't know if this episode ruffled some feathers. If it ruffled your feathers, I would love to know about that, because we all have our own opinions. We all have our own views. We all have our own different experiences. So share it with me. And if this episode left you with food for thought, if it really made you understand what you seek from this platform, then share that with me as well. That's the idea of the community. That's why we are all here, right? So either way, I would love to hear from you. You know that. Just email me at hello@myfoodlens.com or send me a DM on Instagram. You know where to find me. All right. I would love to hear from you. And with that, thank you very much for the 10K. Thank you so much for giving me this 25th episode milestone. If you weren't here, I wouldn't be here. So I cherish and really treasure you. Thank you. I'll see you next week with another episode. Bye-bye.